Mr. Chairman, Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Can you tell me what Mahatma Gandhi, Barack Obama, Pope John Paul, Jim Jelly, George Randall, and maybe even Keith Jelly have in common? They are all leaders. You see, if we believe that leadership is influence, then every one of us here tonight is in a position of influence, whether that be at work, at home, whether it's in Toastmasters or whatever, whether it's large or very small in our own thinking, we are all leaders. Now, I must be one of the only people that did not like the film, The Titanic. There are very few people that didn't like it. I think with me it was because I knew the end, and I didn't really like that. I wanted them to change it. But if you remember, in the Titanic, there was a very, very large thing, an ice mountain or an iceberg in the water. But that poor captain could only see 10% of it. Agreed?
Yes.
See, an iceberg, we talk often, don't we? If there's a problem, we talk about the tip of the iceberg. And that's because something up here is clearly manifesting something very big that's coming. And we might see that as a negative. But tonight, in talking about leadership, which is such a wide subject, I want to narrow that down to just one aspect of leadership. And this is called the iceberg principle. The heart of it is what actually makes a leader. And there are many different views on that. What we're going to see tonight is what is under the water. What we see is here, but what is actually beneath the waterline. And maybe as we go through, you might even want to give yourself a score of 1 to 10. There's no winners and there are no losers tonight. It's all win-win. Okay, so the first one, below the waterline. I think first of all we might look at self-discipline. Now, self-discipline, as we know, we can have the sort of self-discipline if we want to study, and we're very good at being focused and remaining in one place and on target. But the self-discipline that I want to think about in leadership is the self-discipline of the tongue. Words have power. They have power to destroy. They also have tremendous power to build up. And as a leader and a person in responsibility, we have that power. We know how careless words have sometimes been like barbs to our own soul and spirit and have cut us down. In Australia, there's very much the tall poppy syndrome, isn't there? That someone can be built up and suddenly we want to take their legs away from them. And it can be done so quickly, so easily with the tongue. So, self-discipline, thinking about what we say. Once we've said something, it's very hard to take it back again. And in leadership, being very careful of how we use our words. Think about spies and politicians when we hear of pillow talk. So, confidences, keeping people's confidences if they happen to disclose something to us. So that's number one in our iceberg principle. What's below the surface? Our self-discipline of the tongue. Second one, for the leader, are our core values. These, I would say, are our own intrinsic moral principles. Something that we have built and established our own purpose and identity on. Something that holds us also very, very accountable to those people that we lead when we happen to show a very tiny gap in our core values. For example, a core value might be, I don't steal. And people know that. She doesn't steal. Very good. But then one night, you walk out of the office with a bundle of envelopes. Well, some of the envelopes, nobody's going to miss them. Or, I don't steal, but I'm going to have took 2 hours lunch break today and nobody will notice. But I don't steal. I'm the leader, but I don't steal. So we have to be very careful that what we say are our core values, we actually promote. Because believe me, people will hold us accountable. Now second, under the water. The third one is our emotional security. I like to also call this our emotional maturity. And that is whether or not our moods and our feelings control us, or we can control them. See, if you have a leader who one day it comes into the office, oh, bad mood, kick the dog on the way out of the door at home, and nothing's going to be on the table for tea, and brings all that into the workplace, that person wanting to speak to them is not going to know whether they should talk to them or not. It's rather like walking on eggshells around someone, you know. What mood are they in today? Slam the door as I went into his office. I don't think I'll go there. As an example, my mother was very prone to emotional immaturity. I never knew what I was going to meet when I went to see her. So I was very cautious. Stopped me in my tracks sometimes. So our emotional maturity. Finally, our sense of identity. This is the big question. Who am I? Why am I here? Many people latch on or hold on to something that gives them their identity, whether it's their job, their family, their looks, whatever it is. Very fragile area. But I would say find your identity in your strengths. Know your strengths and be confident in them. It's a very soul-searching area, but one well worth going to. And if I may, look at your strengths. Here's a book I'm going to recommend. Now Discover Your Strengths. Hone in on your strengths and build them up. Find your identity if that's what you choose to do. My identity is in something else and someone else. But find your identity in your strengths. If you're feeling that you have areas that, you know, not so fond of those, but I'm really good at so-and-so. How can I build on that? This is from Marcus Buckingham, and it's excellent. Great for building up self-confidence. So, area of leadership, huge area, but this is the iceberg principle. 10% is what people see, but what's actually happening underneath? Score yourself 1 to 10, but there's no failures, there's no losers, because every single one of us is a work in progress, and every single one of these areas is ongoing and able to be worked on. So enjoy the principle of the iceberg, and live it. Thank you very much.